Hey, this is Pam Perry, and we are live today with Get Out There and Get Known podcast. It's been a minute. It's not been like since the summer, but it is a lot colder now. You can tell I have on my ski sweater, but you can see on the link below that we are going to have someone from 120 Design Studio, Marshall Fox. I'm so excited about that. So, right after this, we're going to be bringing up Marshall, and we're going to talk about all things branding, why it matters, and what he's doing different in the upcoming year. Alrighty, so right after this, we'll be back.
Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey there. So let me tell you a little bit about Marshall. I don't want him to blush and everything while I'm reading his bio, but he's a graphic designer, but such more than that. He's a content creator. He's the CEO of 120 Design Studio, a boutique design firm specializing in helping seven-figure professional speakers in two areas where they consistently tend to fall short: branding and online presence. His keen sense of design and attention to detail helps his clients increase brand awareness, credibility, and sales. You know, the thing I always say is like, you got to shine online. So he helps you do that for real. Having recently surpassed the $1 million revenue milestone, Marshall has shifted into coaching other freelance designers in the areas of mindset, which help for speakers as well, productivity, and business through his private community, signature program, YouTube channel, and podcast. And he has a really, really cool podcast. When Marshall isn't sipping coffee and obsessing over color palettes, he is spending time with his wife and 4 children. Like, really?
Yes. Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Pam. That
Oh,
was an
you're
awesome intro.
welcome. Well, I want to just give the backstory of how we met and give a shout out to YB, Robert Youngblood. We met through
Yes,
the Black Speakers Network. Shout out to Brian as well, who put together this anthology. YB is in here,
amazing.
you're in here, I'm in here. Brian obviously put it together. George Frazier, who did the forward, is where we met. We met at the Power Networking Conference. And YB was there with Brian, and he walked me over. He says, "You got to meet Marshall Fox, this and that." This was way before the book, right? Who knew that we would have been in there?
Right.
And that's where we met and talk about Uncle George, right? He's like the power networker that brings all the good people together. So I want to say I love this cover that you designed. Oh my God. And so many
Thank you.
people are in here that we all know. Dupee is in here, and Crystal and Tiffany and Quinn, and obviously, Candace Nicole, Dr. Wilmore. So I don't want to start naming names. You know how that goes. But this is so good. And the detail, I read your bio, but it's really, really true. One of the things that I said is that it talked about the detail, but I don't know if you can see that there are people in the background as a watermark. And you don't really get that, looking at it, it's like, oh, what's that? But you see in the background, all the people who are in the anthology are on the cover. So that was really, really cool. I
Yes,
love, I
yes.
love, I love the creativity of that. So thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for doing that. And you do so much more, because I said, I introduced you, so you're more than a graphic designer, you're a content creator. And when did this start with you? When did this whole creativity, were you that type of kid growing up with a pencil and paper and just kind of drawing and doodling and making
Yes.
creative things? Okay. I
Yes, I was. I was growing up, I would draw a bit here and there. My grandmother was the one who really kind of pushed me to do it more. I took a graphic design class in high school, but to be honest, when, I turned 18, life happened. I hadn't really thought much about it after that. But fast forward, and it was 2016 where I was 26 years old, and I fell flat on my face financially that summer. I'll spare you the details, but my
okay.
wife was actually the one that said, "Hey, why don't you try graphic design? You've done a little marketing materials here and there. So I gave her every excuse in the book. I said, I can't feed my family with that. I didn't go to school for it. I didn't have any experience.
You didn't go to
I
school
was
for
like,
it?
I did not. I did not. But I said, you know what? What do I have to lose? So that's and the enter YB. This is where YB comes into the picture in 2016 because I recently met him at Dr. Eric Thomas's Breathe University, an event that they had, and he was this outgoing
Detroit in the
character.
house. I have to say that
Yeah,
Detroit in the house because Eric T.
yeah,
E.T. is from Detroit. So
ET,
okay,
yes,
go on. That's
Detroit.
it.
Yep, yep. So yeah, we met through Breathe University, ET's community. Shout out to Eric Thomas. ET the hip hop preacher is a phenomenal community. And I said, hey man, looks like your logo could use some work. You mind if I work on a couple concepts for you? He said, man, you'd be a blessing to me. Go for it. So I worked on a few concepts for him. A couple of them he didn't really like at all, but one of them he gravitated towards for his YB Connects brand. And that's the one that we kind of fine tuned. And we shared that in Breathe University is a Facebook group, and ironically on LinkedIn, he's known as the LinkedIn locksmith.
Yes,
That's
yes.
when things kind of took off, and it led to referral after referral after referral, and I went from 0 to over 10K a month within a couple months, thanks to YB.
Oh my,
Really, so I owe everything to him. I really do.
wow.
Well, him and my wife and God, of course, but
Yeah,
that's kind of how I
yeah.
got my start in this space. But I got into this space, of course, to feed my family, and I've been able to do that well by the grace of God over the past 6 or so years. So,
That
yeah,
is
that's kind of how I got
amazing.
started.
In 6 years, that is
Yep,
amazing. That is a God story. It really is. I mean, we
it
do
is. It
really
is.
understand. I mean, YB is definitely a man of God, and so is ET, and all of that. So just really knowing that God orders your steps, and sometimes you
Yes.
fall forward and you listen to your wife. That's a good thing.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Absolutely.
and you
Rule number
had the
one.
yeah, you had the thing when you were young. And it's like,
Right.
really, I want people to understand that your gifts and your dreams, they don't have an expiration date. They
That's
don't.
true.
You gotta
Good
keep
point.
using them. And so I just love that. And so you were doing other things. You were doing obviously marketing, but you really tell people about shining online. So I want to say that your
Yes.
podcasts and your YouTubes, do you do those yourself because they look so polished and good? So I know obviously you
Yes.
have the equipment, but do you do the editing?
I do. I do the editing. I've wanted to outsource some of the editing. I just haven't gotten around to it. And I have a certain just a
Look,
certain way I like
yeah,
things to look because
right.
there's something that I learned about called white space. I'm actually learning about it from Chris Jenner in her masterclass about personal branding. But it's something called white space where it's pretty much almost like an area of opportunity or an untapped niche. So I'm like, okay, I'm starting from ground zero on YouTube, for example. What can
Mhm.
I do to stand out amongst the crowd of other creators that are starting to use the platform? I said, you know what? I'm gonna spend a little bit more time on the creativity, on the editing. So I started to do that with my channel. So I think my first few videos that I put up got like 50, 75,000 views and stuff like that. Where the conventional wisdom is you put out 100 videos, the first 100 probably aren't really going to get any views, but just keep going. I'm like, you know what? I need to accelerate that. You know what I'm saying?
'Cause 100
So
videos is a whole lot of time. I know. Mhm.
yeah, so I just wanted to add just a little extra polish on it. And then ironically, that led to some other opportunities where a couple companies reached out and say, hey, we want you to do some stuff for us. We don't know what it's going to be, but let's collaborate. Can you do some stuff for us? So had I just tried to rush it out or just outsourced from the jump, then that likely wouldn't have happened. And that's
Yeah.
that's something that I tell designers as well. Like don't rush into this trying to outsource everything right away. Like people are so quick to try to do that, but then they're skipping over the critical steps when it comes to actually learning your craft, being in your craft. But being as
Mhm.
though I didn't do that early on, I was able to get my 10,000 hours in about 3.5 years in graphic design. So I'm able to be that much more
Excellent.
proficient, that much more quickly in the space, and and get that expertise and be able to serve my clients at a high level and increase prices and serve them at a high level. And I'm a relative newcomer to the space,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
it's
But you
because I see the white space and I just do things a little bit differently.
I love that. That is one of the things that I like about this particular book, but you've done some other things as well. I think you did the website for a couple of people in BSN. Can you
Absolutely.
name
Yep.
some of those people? Because I don't want to say them and you didn't do them, but I think I know who some of them are. They were some cover
Yes, yes.
stories.
Yeah, shout out to BSN, man. Black Speakers Network, Brian Olds. We actually met in college at BCCC, Baltimore City Community College. We were both there in the same scholarship program, Granville T. was scholars. He was a couple years ahead
Mhm.
of me, but we
Oh my God.
reconnected about a year or two into me doing graphic design. Say,
Mhm,
hey man, I
mhm.
see that you serve speakers. Let's partner up. So, we became
That's
partners of
Brian.
BSN.
Yes, yes.
Yes, so I connected with Quinn through Brian. So shout out to
Mhm.
Quinn Conyers. She's doing amazing things. I was able to do her logo and website. I think she's since changed it in the few years that it's been since I did it, but a
People
couple
change it.
iterations ago I did her.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks great. I
And
did
this
her website and also Dr. Cheryl Wood as well.
okay.
Boom, there she
Okay.
is. So I did her.
I was like,
I did
I
her.
remember Cheryl saying
Yeah,
that you did it. It was
yeah,
so transformational. It was
yeah.
so good. Dr. Sherwood's website was
Yes,
so good. I was like, okay.
yes.
And
Yeah,
so I
working with
really
Cheryl with Dr. Cheryl was a game changer for me. Her and me. I had to send her a message of appreciation not too long ago because I went after her. I said, "Look, let's work together." So when we
mhm.
worked together,
We were all in the
it
same
it
book.
it took yes, she was in the book as well. It took
Mhm,
my business to
mhm.
the next level and also took her business and her visual branding to the next level as well. So that was a match made in heaven. I'm forever grateful for Dr. Cheryl.
Oh, that is so good. So I want to let people know like the first step of getting out there and getting known is really having your messaging together, having the mission, having the confidence. But then once you have all of that, I guess you would say the mentality or the mental state of like, I'm going to get out there. When they get out there, you can't look like you are just starting out. You want to really have a professional to really help package you. And packaging is
Right.
so important today, your visuals and all of that. A lot of people, Marshall, they will go on the cheap. I'll do it myself, which is wrong. I'll just go to Fiverr. Nothing wrong with Fiverr, but it's wrong if you're trying to build $1 million brand and then you're going to
Right.
Fiverr, right? Okay. Not
Right.
to say you got to spend $1 million, but you can't look like you went to Fiverr. And then the other
Yeah.
thing is just not having a presence online that is
Hmm.
cohesive and consistent. So speak
Right.
to those
Right.
things about when you work or when you mentor people, even like when you're mentoring graphic designers, because they need their own personal brand as well. So speak
Right.
to that
Right.
about the consistent branding and then the
Yeah,
cohesiveness.
absolutely. Yep. So I like to call it a design language. Everyone should have a design language, which is a consistent, cohesive look and feel for your visual brand. Right. So that's what you should strive towards. But the thing is, and this may be a little bit of a hot take or a different approach to this, you don't have to spend a ton of money early on. Like, of course, you don't necessarily want to cheap out, but I tell clients, I tell designers to tell their clients like you don't have to spend a ton of money to get your brand started because I say that to say this: people will wait until they have their branding, their website perfect before they actually get out and put the boots on the ground and do what they're called to do. So I don't like when I see that. It's like, well, I've got to wait on this and I got to wait on that. It's like, no, just get out there and make it happen. So by the grace of
Mhm,
God, right now, I serve seven-figure speakers pretty much exclusively. And I
mhm,
noticed a common theme. Pretty much all of them got there without the $10,000, $20,000 logo and website. They
mhm,
put their boots on the ground and they're out here serving their people, and that's something that Dr. Shirley and I discussed as well. She's like, Marshall, I'm out here in my lane of brilliance. It's not graphic and web design. I've just been serving. I've been doing amazing things, serving her communities, the people that bring her in to speak. But she reached a point where she needed to make sure that the level of her branding, the quality of her branding, her visuals, her website, all of her touch points, email, social media, etc., is at the same level of the quality of the amazing work that she's doing on a day-to-day basis. So you'll reach a point where okay, it's time to go ahead and spend that next level. But the thing is levels to it. You start
mhm.
out, with the designer, get something that's simple, it's memorable, timeless, versatile, appropriate. Just doesn't fly over the head of your target audience. You don't have to spend $20,000 for that. You don't have to do it. And other designers
Just
may
be
say,
clean.
don't tell them that. Right,
Right.
exactly. Keep it simple. Then you'll
Mm,
reach a point as that business grows that you may want to go ahead and upgrade and say, okay, now it's time to go ahead and upgrade my graphics. So it's levels to it. But yeah, you definitely don't want to cheap out
I
early
like
on.
that. I like that because it really is. If you're a speaker and say you were seen in different publications and magazines, and people are going to your website, and then they go like, was that the same person? It's like the story was
Right.
so good, but the website is so
Right.
raggedy. And
Hmm.
the people always think that, branding is a logo, it's a photo shoot. Is more than that, because it really does what you kind of talked about. It's the color palettes, it's the feeling that people want to have when they walk away from you. And something you said too was like the touch points of each part of your brand, the touch points.
Right.
So talk
Yep.
about what is a touch point of your brand. Where are they? I guess you say tend to lose it, I guess you would say, or don't pay attention to.
Yeah. So touch points, I consider touch points to be any way that a potential client or customer could interact with you or come into contact with your brand for the first time, or any way that you reach out to your customers as well. So often we see like email blasts, we see
Yeah.
social media graphics, any marketing materials that you have. Let's say you're at a conference, so in the back you may have a table, a table set up. So that's you may have tablecloth, retractable banner, flyers, etc. Your website,
Your book
um,
cover.
book covers. Yes, any way that a potential customer will come into contact with you for the first time, or on a consistent basis, that's considered a touch point. So you have to make sure all of that is consistent, like you said, and it's at a high, it's high quality, because you can really tell. Like these days, first impression is everything.
Oh yeah.
You can
Oh
tell
yeah.
somebody has really taken the time to put thought into it, whether
Yeah.
it's you or a designer that you're working with. And it says a lot about you and your business as well. Like
Mhm.
I even tell the designers that I work with and mentor, like your website and your brand is a reflection of what you can do for that potential client. So
Mhm.
if you're trying to charge 20,000 for a website, but your own website looks like it was about $500 do it yourself job. So it's just not in alignment. So you have to make sure that is consistent, because what you do as a designer is a reflection of what you can do for your client.
I like that. We're in the community of Behance, where a lot of designers will have their portfolios hung out in a shingle, so to speak, in
Right.
Behance as well. And so I can't really tell what your skill level is based on what you tell me. I have to look at it. And so
Exactly.
Behance or
Exactly.
sites like that, or your own social media, even your email signature, and also your
Yeah.
email itself. It's nothing wrong with having a Gmail, but sometimes it does take, if you're going to talk about branding, to have a branded email, right? So yours is your
Absolutely.
name at yourdomainname.com. It's like, okay, so we know that it's a legitimate company. It's not a Yahoo, definitely ain't a AOL, right? Because
Right.
that's just putting on red flags all over for me. Like, okay, you still on AOL? Well, what else is out of date? That's the impression. And then also too, we talk about colors. We also talk about in terms of paper stock as well. So if someone
Yeah.
hands you a business card and it's very flimsy versus
Mhm.
someone who hands you one that is like, wow. And I
Yes.
know sometimes people don't do business cards anymore, but if you're gonna have one,
Right.
nice
That's
one.
it. Yes.
Say,
Quick
have a
nugget. I
nice.
recommend moo.com for
Oh, I
designers
love
and
mood.
for
Yes.
clients. Yes, I use Moo exclusively. And I tell designers I mentor, you use Moo. Stop getting your clients 1,000 business cards with $10 from Vistaprint. Go ahead and use Moo. It's going to be about $1 per card. It's like
I'm so
$100.
glad Mr. Print is not a sponsor.
Right. I know.
No, they're not. They're not.
But yes, yeah. So love Moo. You can get square cards, the rounded corners with the
Mhm.
spot gloss, and it's a thicker card. They even have
It's
like almost like a cardboard stock with the colored
yeah.
seams.
Oh my
Um, and
God.
it'll stand out from the rest of the cards that you make it. You're at a networking event, and they have what's called a Moo size, where it's a little tall. It's actually the same size of a credit card, and
Yes.
actual business cards are a little shorter, but the Moo size sticks out a bit. So if it's a stack, it'll stick out. It'll be nice premium, and then throw a nice design on top of that. You're golden. Business cards
Yeah.
they're not dead yet. Not yet.
I love it. So a lot of PR people, they put together their one sheets and that kind of thing for their clients, or they put together some of their marketing materials or whatever. I'm personally not a graphics person. I know what looks good and I know what looks bad. I think, and I'm just going to throw this out here, sometimes I think Canva has created some monsters, meaning that I'll just have Canva and I'll just create it on Canva. And it was like, I look at like, that was Canva, that was Canva. You know
Right.
someone who knows really design, and then
Right.
Canva. Canva's okay if you're like in your 20s and maybe you're just in college and you're just kind of getting started, but you should
Hmm.
not be a full grown person and still
Right.
like, I'm stuck on Canva, I'm going to do it myself, unless you really
Yes.
do have that talent and gift. So
Right.
give me your little
Exactly.
bit of background, I guess you're feeling on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So Canva, I think it's a great tool. I've had clients that requested I design some things on them so they could take it and make tweaks or give it to somebody on their team, maybe a VA to make tweaks to flyers
That's
and
a
stuff.
good idea.
Uh,
Yes, you do the templates for
yes, yes,
mhm.
and I know designers who use Canva for their clients and they make it killing. So it's not like I dislike the service, but I agree that my whole thing is I'm at a point where it's like, look, be in your lane of brilliance. What is that? Your
Yeah,
zone of genius. So if you're a speaker or what have you, um, and you're not a graphic designer, use that
don't
tool
you?
temporarily until you're able to outsource or get somebody maybe on your team, connect with a designer. And they may use it, they may not use it, but you shouldn't do everything on your own when it comes to that. But I think most, at least in my experience, most people realize they reach a breaking point where it's like, I can't keep doing this on my own, and that's when they'll connect with the designer.
I know. The thing that I know, my lane of genius is not design. And I remember when computers first came out, and I was so excited. I got my own personal computer, and I put together a flyer because I'm in marketing, I'm in PR, so I'm sending stuff out. And I was doing an event, and so I went to do the event flyer. I could do it myself. I got my computer, and I put it together. And I'm not kidding. The CEO of the organization said, "This looks like a ransom note."
Oh my
every
goodness.
every line had a different font and a different
Yeah.
style because I was just too excited. Like, ooh, we gonna do this font, we gonna do that font, and it looked crazy. It's like this looks like a ransom note. Let's have someone really do that. And I was like, okay,
Right.
that's not my lane of genius. And I will still overdo it if it's like, oh, we got 50 fonts, let's use all 50 of them. No, less
Right.
is best. And that's one of the things. I want to say
Right.
something about your background too. So those who are watching us on YouTube or watching us on Behance or LinkedIn Live, I like simple backgrounds. And so, one of the things, Marshall, I like your background. Explain to us the mood or the look that you have of your background. Is it a cork board, or is it a filter?
No,
Tell us the
uh it's actually wood panels. It's actually wood panels.
I
They're not
love it.
stained, but I have them lit a certain way. They're not stained yet, but the story behind it, just full transparency. So I live in Maryland. My home office is, done up. I had this whole vision. It's like, I wanted this, I wanted that. So if I think it's on my LinkedIn, uh my LinkedIn cover photo, or on YouTube I have an office tour. So it's like,
Mhm.
a whole bunch of stuff, bookcases, like wooden signs, a lot of stuff. Like my dream chair. So, but I'm in Florida for the winter and we're kind of in transition looking to move here. So
Okay.
we're in a vacation home right now. So I got these wood panels to throw up because we probably will bounce around throughout the winter, at least until we get settled. If we get settled down here, so
Hmm.
I'm like, I need a consistent backdrop. So I saw these wood panels online and I ordered them. So that's what I have right now. And I just have a light that's literally sitting behind me.
Yeah.
And yeah, so just to add a little bit of glow to the background. So this
It
is kind of a temporary setup, but I'll likely incorporate it. Like once we get settled somewhere, still have it as a backdrop, maybe add a plant or something. But yeah, that's why it's
I
like it
like it
is.
simple. I like it simple. My background, just for those who can't see it but can listen, it's just a black. It's just a black background. It's a velvet drop. I like black velvet. It's rich. And then my chair is black. Good thing my hair isn't black, because then it would just look like my face is just sitting out there, but my hair is
Right.
blonde. So that works for me. Anyone else who sits here,
Yes.
if they have black hair, they're gonna just like it'll fade out. But this worked for
Right.
me because I didn't want anything distracting. I just wanted to be just one straight particular look, like we're just talking, and that's really like the main
Right.
thing of it. But simple is best when you don't really know what to do. Just simple is always best. The
Absolutely.
do you have a book? You have another book besides the anthology that you have, and what's the name of that book?
Yes, so that's another one that recently came out on Friday, put together by Rob YB Youngblood. It's
Yeah,
another collaborative book. It's called Collaboration Creates Currency. So
love
I'm
it.
one of 5 authors, including YB. There's Sherrod, Deborah Delgado, um, Elliot Brooks. So we're all in this book together.
I
So
love
Collaboration Creates Currency, and recently came out. It really talks about the power of collaboration. 2023, I feel like it's going to be the year of collaboration, and how you can leverage that to really increase your visibility, credibility, and profitability. So,
I love
yes,
that.
that just came out on Friday, and if you guys want to check that out, that's at collaborationcreatescurrency.com.
Cool. And you're about it because the thing that hey Tiffany, she says, wouldn't have known if you hadn't explained amazing backdrop. Okay, very good. Yes, I know. Isn't it cool?
Thank you. Thank you.
One of the things I will say that Brian obviously is partnership and collaboration. YB, we've done things together. And then when I reached out to you, you said, yeah, no problem. So it's one thing to say it, but to be about it. And I reached out to other people too in the book as well. They just haven't gotten around to it, but I hope they all get your book as well to understand that it is collaboration does create currency. I mean, that's really the
Absolutely.
main thing. We can't do all this by ourselves. There's no way
Right.
we can do everything by yourself. And there's always one connection away to your next level. So you just
Absolutely.
never know, like you said, why YB took you to ET's, all these initials, right? YB took you to ET's event. And then you were doing stuff with, all kinds of things. And then, BSN and George Fraser, PNC, doing things with that. But part of it is just showing up. So part of getting out there,
Absolutely.
getting known is just showing up. Even if you go to a meetup, even if you go to a conference, a chamber meeting, having the right brand together, handing them a Moo card, like Terrence just said, moo.com, right? Handing them a business
Right.
card from there. Tiffany being in Speakers Magazine, so people can, she doesn't know who I give the magazine out to. I give it to them and they look at the inside and it's like, oh, okay, well, who is Tiffany? Okay, and so you just never know. Just showing up in the different places is really, really important, and showing up with the proper photos and the logos
Right.
and the bio. I want to say that I loved your bio. I did. It's
Thank you.
very short, to the point. It didn't start out like I was born, da 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 da. I was like, well, we all know that you were born. Okay, we're here.
Right.
Well, I grew up. It's okay. Well, we know you grew up, So I always tell people take out the filler words, and then towards the end, you add a little bit of a flavor about who you are. If you're not sipping coffee or fussing over color palettes or whatever, spending time with your wife and 4 kids. It just give that little bit of flavor about yourself. But at the very beginning, they kind of know that you're a content creator and that you help 7-figure speakers. So that
Yes.
is it, in a way. Explain niching down and why that's important, because I love the niche where you are now, that you are a coach for graphic designers. Now, people say, well, he
Yes.
should be a coach. He should just be a business coach for everybody. But if you're a coach for everybody, sometimes you're not a coach for anybody. So explain
Right.
niching down for me.
Yes, yeah, oh
And
my goodness, I could speak we could have 17 episodes about niching down. Niching down is so important, y'all, listen,
thank you. Thank you, Terrence, too. He's also putting collaboration currency.
yes, I
Collaboration
appreciate
creates currency.com. Thank you
yes.
so much, Terrence.
Yes, it's something that we tend not to want to do, especially as Black professionals. We're kind of scared of niching down. I was even scared of niching down early on because I felt like, okay, so if you don't know what niching down is, what is it? It's focusing your marketing efforts on a particular segment of people. So what I was scared early on is like, okay, if I say I only serve speakers, then what about everybody else? Am I alienating them? Am I going to make less money? So it's that whole thing. It's like that fear aspect, but if you don't, you're gonna get lost in the sauce. And I tell the designers, you do not want to get lost in the sauce. So whether it's my actual design business, I serve speakers. By the grace of God, I felt like I kind of fell into my niche because a lot of the people that YB connected me with early on were in the speaking space.
Mhm.
So, and I realized the importance of it because I started to say, okay, I started to speak their language. So, for example, everybody has done it. You put up a post on Facebook or LinkedIn, say, hey, I need a logo or website. Who do you know? Tag someone. Be 45 people tagged. I would get tagged as well, but I wouldn't have to respond. It would be 3 or 4 people that tag me because it's like, okay, this is a speaker that posted this. I know someone who serves speakers. Let me tag him. So then they
Mhm.
click on my website and say, hey, I serve speakers. So they're like, oh, you work with me. And then I start speaking their language. I know who you are. I know what you need. I
Yes.
work with other speakers, hear their testimonials. So I get a long, hard look every time, whether it's a good mutual fit due to pricing or availability. That's a different story. But I always get a long, hard look. And I stand out above the crowd because I say I serve speakers. I serve you. Whereas if I did a little bit of this, a little bit of that for everybody, then I would kind of get lost and wouldn't really be able to demonstrate that proficiency in solving their types of problems. So being as though I work with this type of client over and over and over, is I can speak their language and I can almost anticipate their need. So when they come to
Mhm.
me and we have the discovery conversations, they're like, man, this guy read my mind. It's like, nah, I just worked with you before.
Yeah.
Not
Well,
you specifically, but people just like you over and over. So I'm able to really articulate your need and then fill that need very quickly and proficiently.
that is the whole thing. Even with proficiency in terms of publicity, there are PR firms that work with just about anybody. I mean, they can work with the dentist, they can work with the pet store, it doesn't matter. They can do publicity. And really, the skill is the same. But what matters is one, the passion, and two, the contacts within the area. And then also, two, if you're in a particular niche, the main pain points that they're kind of going through over and over because you've lived in it. So with me, I'm working with subject matter experts that tend to be authors and speakers. So they have a message. They're messengers, they're light bearers, right? These are those type of people. And so I work well with these people. I like working with these people. I'm not saying I don't like working with pet owners and dentists. They're probably good people, but it's like the
Yes.
passion of working with certain people that your connections could really benefit them. And you can tell
Right.
them, like, even though I'm doing their publicity, I can say, let me recommend you to this particular stage because that's the space I'm in. So niching
Yes.
down is so important. And then the niche of the business coach that you are, people on Behance need to really listen to you because you work with them and you've been there where they probably are wanting to go. So
Yep.
that's one of the main things because you really, on your Instagram, it's so concise. And so when someone is going through, say, a magazine, if it's a general magazine like, I don't know, Life magazine, it's general, it's for everybody. But then if you pick one up that really speaks to you, and every page is like, oh, I love that article. And I'm going through Essence, and yeah, that was me. Or the books they recommend, yeah, that's for me. Or the places they recommend that I go, or that it's like that's for you. So you can get rich in a niche. My coach told me that many, many years. So niche
Yes.
down in terms of where you want to go. And that's how you really get out there and get known, not to the world, not to everybody, but into a particular niche. That's how you have to really work it. Then you expand out. Start with the target and then expand out. It can go into other places, but it really, really is so important. And
This is
sometimes people say we only work with Black people. It's a target market of African Americans because of the cultural differences, not because of the skin color or because I'm racist, but the cultural nuances sometimes of this particular one. That's why we have Black radio, Black press. It's like I know
mhm,
that area. So that's
right.
one of the things. Mhm.
Yes. Yes. It truly is a secret weapon. Like if you go on my Instagram, I don't have a ton of followers. I have less than 7,000 followers on my Instagram, but I'm almost like my client's secret weapon because those speakers that I work with, they speak. So it's like I have several clients, even, they retain my services every month. You wouldn't even know. Like I don't really post what I do, the stuff that I work on. One, by the grace of God, I don't have to. And two, like I'm not really actively seeking do business like that. So it's like I just do what I do, and you would never know. I have clients that know each other. They're close with each other. They don't even know that I'm the mutual graphic designer between them. I just do my
Wow.
thing,
Yes.
in the shadows, and you're able to do that and charge a premium price. Set your price. And the thing is about charging a premium price, it depends on how easily replaceable you are. So you want to make sure that you're not easily replaceable. So how do you do that? Okay, what mistakes are other designers or service providers making? Let me do the opposite. How about I
Mm.
communicate with the client? How about I over communicate? How about I give them an experience that they never had before? How about I
Yes.
anticipate
Because
their
some
needs?
some people
Offer
are just ghosted by their web designer a
a
lot.
lot of them. A
They
lot of
are, yeah, they call them like,
Yeah,
oh
we
my
get a bad rap as designers, deservedly so in a lot of cases. That's why I'm on a mission to empower and teach other designers to show them one, what success looks like for people that look like us in this space, and two, what things they need to do or stop doing to have success. Not just have success, but create experiences and clients for life, from those experiences.
Hmm.
So that's something I'm passionate about, because a lot of designers, the majority of them that I coach that are in my community, they're more talented skill wise than I am, but a lot of them are struggling financially. They can't feed their family, So it's like, okay, what are the gaps? And I've been able to see that as I've coached over the past couple of years. Okay, this is where you're going wrong. You're afraid to put yourself out there. You're not communicating. You're not intentional about how you show up. And my saying is, show up when you show up. Like, be intentional. Don't look like you just plop down in the basement at your grandma's house to take the Zoom meeting, and you're about to go back to your full-time job at Starbucks. No, let the client know, have them feel on the Zoom call that you do this for a living. You take what you do serious. You have a certain level of respect and reverence for what you do, and you're going to have that same level of respect and reverence for what you're getting ready to do with the client. They have to feel that from you. So when you show up, they can feel it, and they're ready to do business and pay your fee, whatever it is. So
Yes, yes. And Terrence says, he reiterates, you can get rich in a niche. That's good.
yes,
That is good. I
yes,
had that
yes.
advice many years ago because he was like, you're trying to do too much. You're doing a DTM. You're doing too much. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do the
DTM.
DTM. Okay. I'll be doing my niche. Okay. So that's really like the main thing. I really enjoyed working with you. And in the book that we had many years
Yes,
ago, I'm
yes,
gonna get the collaboration book. Terrence put it down here where collaboration creates currency.com. I'm making sure that I get that. It'll all be in the show notes as well when the podcast comes out. But I want to work with you
yes.
more in 2023 as well because you are
Let's go.
you're a really, really nice person, very genuine.
I appreciate
Not a lot of ego because sometimes them designers get that bad rap of like, ooh, they just think they just more
it. Yeah.
creative than everybody, and
Yeah.
and then they can't work with anybody, right? Because nobody wants to work with them. So
Hmm.
definitely, because I want my clients to really get their brand polished and you know
Yes.
up level. They got to upgrade in
Yes.
2023. So as Beyonce said, let me upgrade you. So you want to make sure that you do
Right.
that in 2023. Do it in stages. Don't feel like you got to do it all at once, but make sure you do it in stages because whenever
Yes.
your brand upgrades, you feel good about yourself, and then that exudes out as well. So that's one of the key things. One of the things that you probably seen this too with clients when they get their brand new website or whatever, they feel different about themselves and they feel good about charging the money that they charge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So I could see that happening with a lot of the clients that you work with. It's like, oh yeah, they are on their way. So thank you so much, Marshall. Is there anything before we head out of here that you want people to check out? You could even talk to the Behance people too as well if you want them to go over to a
Yeah.
particular
Yeah,
site.
absolutely. Well, yep, for Behance, for your designers on Behance, so there's one main thing I want you guys to know. So as a designer, like she just mentioned, a lot of designers have egos and things like that, but you have to you've heard the saying, the main character energy. You want to be the main character. If you want to be a high level designer, and in full transparency, by the grace of God, I do over $250,000 a year, pretty much by myself. I have an admin, but if you want to reach this type of level, at least financial success as a designer, you have to sit down. You have to let your clients be the main character. You can't be out here gallivanting on social media, posting a lot, being super active and posting every little thing, like every little flyer. No, you have to sit down and say, you know what? This personal project I have going on or I want to do, I might have to press pause on that because the clients are paying you uh, big money to put them in the spotlight.
Mhm.
Make sure that they are at the forefront. So when you're trying to do that for yourself and I'm in a weird place right now as a content creator and making the shift, but I've pretty much been in the shadows for a few years. You know what I'm saying? I haven't been active. That's why I'm not, you don't see a ton of posts and a ton of followers, but you have to sit down. You got to kind of play the back and say, you know what? I'm going to put my pride aside and just pump my clients up. That's how you become the go-to person in this space. Say, you know what, I'm gonna go to Marshall. I know he's gonna get it done. He's not spending a whole bunch of time doing this and doing that. I'm gonna go to him and get it done. So that I'll leave you guys with that. And also I have a resource for designers. It's called the Six Figure Designer Roadmap, and you can find it at 250kdesignerroadmap.com. So that is the exact 7 steps that I've been able to use to do over $1 million in graphic design over the past 6 years, with
Wow.
over 700K of that coming in the past 3 years. So I put it all, packaged it together, and I have it as a free resource. So it's
I
at
love that.
250kdesignerroadmap.com. So I just wanted to say thank you, Dr. Pam. This has been amazing. And
Oh, good. Well, you know what? That's why you're so blessed. You're given that 250. Say that website again. 250 Road.
yes, the 250K designer roadmap.com.
Okay, very good. All right, so we got that. We got
Yes,
that. So
yes,
thank you so much. That is one of the main things that why you're so blessed. You're giving and you want to share the secrets, and that's the way I am too as well. You want to share the
yes.
secret as well. So thank you so much, and hopefully
Thank
maybe I'll
you.
see you in 2023 at an event,
Yes,
or at the very least at Power
we
Networking
will.
Conference where we met, and it'll be in Houston again. So hopefully we'll
Yes,
see each other
yes,
there as well. And thank you so much. And if you
absolutely.
ever want to write for Speakers Magazine, let me know, because we
Sure.
can take some of your chapters and put that on the website, pieces of it or whatever. You want to write something new, just let me know. That's always available. You're speaking to speakers. So that's, we have that same love where we just want to work with the
Yes.
speakers. So,
Yes. Thank you so
just
much. I feel like this has been a long time coming, and I sincerely appreciate you inviting me on and having me, even though I'm not the actual, the typical person that you have on here, but this has still been a
No,
treat.
this was so good. This is so good. I had people over here that was like, I never thought about that. Yeah, so this is really good because people have to understand this. And PR is one part, but if you're getting out there, and I say, if your slip is hanging, you need to fix it before you try to run out there. Okay, so you gotta make sure that your stuff is tight and right. So with that, I am. Thank you so much for joining us, and I will talk with you soon. Alrighty, God bless. Bye bye.
So much.
Oops. All right. I just got to hit my outro button. All right.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com.